Welcome everybody to another episode of Into the Stratusphere. I'm your girl Cindy G. How's everybody doing? Well, y'all, it's been a week since spring is happening, you guys. And it's weird because a year ago, the world has completely changed because of the pandemic. And now it's like restriction or taking at ease. I heard the Bay Area is now in an orange tier. We're here in Solano County, we're still in the red tier, and now they're changing the policy of who's going to get vaccinated, like starting April 1st, age 50 and up, and then April 16th, 15 or 16, it's going to be age 16 and older that gets a vaccine. So, y'all, there may be a chance that a certain live event may be gonna come back, but who knows? Time may change. I don't know, y'all, but it's been a hell of a week, you guys. Like, I don't know. It's just come to the perspective of it. But yeah. So anyway, Bulletcast Nation, hope everybody's doing good. So today's episode is going to be episode 31. Welcome back, NWA. That is right, you guys. This episode is going to be dedicating to, of course, to kicking off the new recap I'll be doing covering NWA Powerrr, and also I'm definitely going to be doing the results and my overall thoughts for this past pay-per-view from this past Sunday, which is NWA Back for the Attack. So, of course, the usual wrestling headlines, NWA Back for the Attack, results and my brief thoughts, recap for NWA Powerrr, the usual recap from this week's Impact Wrestling, the AEW bonus, which I'm just going to cover just one match, and lastly, it's going to be the bracketology from the New Japan Cup United States, since I just watched New Japan Strong, and they just did the whole New Japan Cup qualifying match. So I'm recording it as of Friday, March 26th, so just want to let y'all know. So anyway, you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and kick off with some wrestling new headlines that is non-WWE related, y'all. So anyway, David Marquez took to Twitter on March 24th talking about what's the status for the Primetime Live. So Dave Marquez saying that, like, they're looking for a different streaming site that is not gonna be affected with this whole paywall situation, and trying to make sure that they're in a process of negotiating with broadcasters, streaming services, and brands to cover the cost of the program, so that way nobody can pay to watch it. Of course, it's kind of like a little bit of a shade towards NWA, in my opinion, but anyway, furthermore, he did also saying that they're also closing to a deal that the goal for this is to return Primetime Live in the summertime. So for now, that just continue watching the championship wrestling franchise, like from Hollywood, Arizona, the Gulf Coast, and the South as well, and of course, they have and Memphis as well. So I'm glad that Dave Marquez did actually give the update about what's the status of Primetime Live, and in making sure that it will be catering to everybody that can able to watch it pretty much for free, instead of paying it for a subscription cost. I know that they did have the show on Primetime on Fight TV, and you have to pay for $7 to $8 per episode, and then the subscription of it too. So I know that they're changing up a bit. However, something shady going on, shadiness, because people are wondering how come NWA did all of a sudden release David Marquez, and what is the real reasoning behind closed doors too, since David has been with NWA and helping with the company since the late 90s. So I guess that we'll have to just figure out what's going on. But for now, we'll see what's going on until if there's going to be any more updates from what he had to say, or like anybody that is like close to the source as well for that too, because it has to do with like how I think for me, like for my theories, have to do with like how um creative ideas, especially how they can revitalize NWA, and especially when it comes to, of course, the current president, Billy Corgan, of course. But we're just gonna have to see what's happening going on. But for now, I'm glad that we're gonna have to wait and see when Primetime is gonna be back. I know it's just gonna be like under the United Wrestling Network, so that's gonna be pretty fun. But anyway, you guys, without further ado, let's go to move on to the next news headline. So, former WWE superstar Andrade, or should I say, La Sombra. So y'all know he has been released from the company since last Friday. So he took to Twitter as of March 26th, and he did post it, starting my new goal, and we are in talks. No waiting for 90 days. So pretty much like he's not in the whole 90-day clause, and as of now that like he's in the talks with like different companies that he's going to be making an appearance. So I know a lot of people are speculating that are we going to be seeing Andrade in New Japan, in CMML, or even with Ring of Honor. I know for a fact that, like, according to what Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer News headline, I think it's either him or one other source, because I saw it on Twitter saying that, like, it's not Andrade that's going to bring him to AEW's because like the whole money issue that they already spent the money on bringing Christian to AEW. I don't know, you guys. It's just some tweets that I saw on Wednesday. But regardless of wherever Andrade is going, I'm looking forward to what he's gonna do. But hopefully, I prefer to see him in New Japan. Who knows, you guys? Anyway, another wrestling news headline. So, John Silver did provide an update regarding his injury that happened this past Wednesday on AEW Dynamite, where he took that nasty fall outside of the ring that landed his shoulder. So, he did provide an update about his shoulder injury, and he said, "Bad news. I'll be out about 4 to 6 weeks. Good news. I don't need surgery. And there is no major damage." So I'm very happy that Johnny Hungy shoulder is nothing too serious. Unlike with Anna Jay, that she had to be out for 6 months to a year, which she had to go through surgery. And I'm glad that she just got out of the surgery like almost 2 weeks ago. So as of now, like, looks like John Silver is gonna be at home resting. We're probably going to be seeing him, like, before May, though. I mean, that's where the whole build-up for AEW Double or Nothing is going to be taking place. But I must say that his match against Darby Allin for the TNT title was pretty solid. He did work through the matches despite, like, having, like, a shoulder injury, but he did pull it through, too. So, wishing John Silver a very speedy recovery. And hopefully we'll be seeing him stronger than ever. And anyway, you guys, lastly of the wrestling news headline, of course, Impact Wrestling just announced that they're going to be officially moving back to Thursday night. So it has been confirmed that because of WWE, NXT is going to be moving to Tuesday night. Impact Wrestling did release a statement that they're actually going to be moving their show back to Thursday night starting April 8th. And to kick things off, they did announce the match that's going to be inaugural for that. So for the moving back to Thursday night, that's right. They announced that Rich Swann, AEW World Champion Kenny Omega will be part of a massive 6-man main event match for the first Impact on Access on Thursday, April 8th. So this is going to be pretty interesting, you guys. So It is going to be a match. That's going to be awesome. Of course, 6-man tag team match between Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. They'll be taking on the Impact World Champion Rich Swann, Eddie Edwards, and Willie Mack. So it is going to be a very fun match. And also, it's going to be working on my schedule as well, too. Like, y'all, I'm very happy that they made the right decision to move back to Thursday night because it's so much wrestling to crammed up together. I know that they're trying to avoid, like, having the ratings bomb if NXT already moved to Tuesday and then the whole stupid ratings war going on. So I'm very happy, and it's going to be really much better for my schedule, too, because as you guys know, I'm still doing reactions video, helping Steve the Fan, which he is the creator of Teddy Turnbuckle, which y'all remember him on the past episode Into the Stratusphere. I'm still doing reaction video for mostly AEW, and I'm doing NWA as well. So it actually helps me to focus more on, like, watching the product, and I have, like, a set schedule, too. Like, on Monday, I watch AEW Dark Elevation, Tuesday, NWA and AEW Dark, Wednesday, AEW Dynamite, Thursday, now I can finally watch Impact Wrestling, and then Friday, New Japan Strong, you guys. So it definitely works much better, especially getting the recordings done here for Into the Stratusphere. Like, I normally record it on a Friday night, and then it get posted, like, either the next day or on a Sunday. But it does even affect, like, with this whole time slot moving for Impact Wrestling, how effective by my channel. But, you know, I'm very happy about that. And lastly, of the wrestling news headline. So remember about Hardcore Justice being on the same day as night 1 of WrestleMania 37? Well, they just announced a special start time because of it. So the start time is going to be 3 p.m. Eastern / 12 o'clock Pacific. So definitely works perfect. At least I got something to watch, of course, and enjoy. But yeah, and like I said, you guys, in the beginning, when it comes to the Big 4 pay-per-view, I'm definitely going to be taking a week off from the Into the Stratusphere. So next week is going to be the last episode of Into the Stratusphere before the 1 week off, and then I'll be returning the week after Mania. That way that the Bullet Cast will be covering more in-depth of everything WWE, you know. But that's all I gotta say about the wrestling news headline and updates on all that stuff. So anyway, you guys, enough the wrestling news headlines. So let's go ahead and kick off with the results and my thoughts from this past Sunday's pay-per-view. NWA presents Back for the Attack pay-per-view. That's right, NWA is back. Now, I must say about this pay-per-view, it was a very solid pay-per-view. I know for a fact that they did actually brought back the crowds, but like with limited appearance. And the good thing about it too is that the crowds are wearing face masks. And however, they did not face the camera angle towards the crowd. They only faced it towards like the main area of the where they did the interview, like facing towards the podium and to the commentary team as well. So I like that they kind of like change a little bit of the angle. I just wish it's like a little bit towards like kind of like the entrance way, but it's just a studio, you guys. What do you expect? And for the commentary team, you have is Joe Galli and Tim Storm, which I was very impressed with Tim Storm's commentary. Being a commentator, it's just like, it's so refreshing. I'm listening to kind of like a old school commentator giving his insight, especially someone who actually wrestled for the company for so many years as well. So that kind of, brightened the mood of it as well. So anyway, you guys, and also the only thing to kind of like give criticism with it, and y'all know what it is, and I know Dave Marquez did express it on Twitter. They actually botched the 10-bell salute, you guys. Oh my god. Like, the 10-bell salute was supposed to be for the people that passed away from the pandemic, but also like wrestlers that passed away from the company, like Butch Reed to Jim Crockett Jr. And, of course, not too recently, Joseph Hudson, which y'all know him as Josephus, and the question mark, of course. They botched the 10 belt salute so hard. They actually started in a fast pace with 1, 2, and then continue on, and then stop like at belt salute 6 or 8. It was so bad, you guys. Like, this is the first time, I think, in history of wrestling that there's actually a botched 10 belt salute. So I was kind of like shaking my head for it. And, when it comes to the 10 belt salute, it has to be like showed a sign of respect because you're honoring of a fallen hero, a fallen colleague, fallen friend, and all that too. But mistakes happen. I know it sucks. How it turns out, but it doesn't even really affect the whole show itself too, because the whole show was really impressive too. I really enjoy like the interview from Nick Aldis, and of course like the introduction of the intro promo of Aaron Stevens talking about his tribute to his late tag team partner Joseph Hudson, and both guys talking about the main event match they're getting ready. Very impressive. I kind of don't like the opening theme song from Billy Corgan. I don't know if it's from the Smashing Pumpkins or his solo, but it does even kind of fit the vibe for it too. But that's just me though. Even though I do enjoy listening to the Smashing Pumpkins, but like from the 90s, of course. But yeah, and I'm really like how Nick Aldis did talk to Kyle Davis, saying like even though the company has been suffering a setback, but there's always a comeback. And so I'm glad he did acknowledge it as well. So anyway, here are the results from NWA Back for the Attack. So you have is Slice Boogie defeated Jack Stain, Jordan Clearwater, and Crimson in a 4-way match where Slice Boogie did the dead ass driver finisher to Jordan Clearwater. So the match, it was pretty fun. I really enjoyed it a lot. Jack Dane, holy crap. Y'all remember him from, I believe he was from Ring of Honor. He was giving everybody like different strikes, different like pile driver he delivered, like holy crap. And then Jordan Clearwater, y'all remember him from New Japan Strong? Of course, the Forbidden Door is still open, which I'll talk about it after talking about the NWA Powerrr, because another wrestler made the Forbidden Door appearance too from New Japan Strong, but digress on that. Jordan Clearwater did one hell of a job, and he did improve so much, like giving his like much more of a counter, especially towards Crimson. And it was good to see Crimson on television because we haven't seen him like in years since his time with Impact Wrestling, and he still got it too. But yeah, it was a really fun match. I'm not too happy about Slice Boogie, like, being the winner. And of course, y'all remember him from Primetime and from West Coast Pro Wrestling. Yeah. And then you have the next match right here. You have is, of course, Tyrus did defeat JR Kratos with the Great American Slam. That match was pretty much a hoss fight. Not too much to say, but JR Kratos, holy crap. Like, being one half of the NWA World Tag Team Champion, he actually worked kind of like a babyface too, because Tyrus is a heel, which I'm not going to get into that, especially there's like a lot of controversy about it, and I don't want to talk about it, because I already say my piece about the whole speaking out movement and all that, but yeah. Anyway, but it was pretty much a good hoss fight of match. I wish Kratos should have won in the first place, because he is the champion, and I feel that, like, with his gimmick and his attitude, he should have been pulled over for it. But I know that he's kind of like working kind of like a tweener too, though, since his tag team partner, remember, is Aaron Stevens, who is also one half of the NWA Tag Team Champion. But yeah. Anyway, and then you have the NWA Television Champion between the current champ, the Pope, versus Tom Latimore. And it was pretty much a very fun match. And the television title has to be a 10-minute time limit. Oh my god, so close. Tom Lattimore was so close to pinning the Pope. Unfortunately, the match ends in a draw, which means that the Pope did retain the title. And then you have is the number one contendership match for the NWA Women's Championship, which the winner gets to face the current NWA Women's Champion, Serena Deeb, who is currently out with a knee injury. What you have is Camille versus Thunder Rosa. And I must say, the women's match was on fire. And then you have a special guest on commentary for the women's match, none other than the hot mess herself, Taryn Terrell, which she did a solid job being on commentary. And it looks like Taryn is actually out of retirement for like, what, the third time? I'm pretty surprised by it, but, you know, she is a busy woman. I mean, being a mom and a wife, and does incredible things in her life, too. But I'm glad to see her on NWA, but we'll see how it's going to turn out. So anyway, the match itself, it was on fire. You have so much back and forth going on between Thunder Rosa and Camille, which Camille has been trash talking a lot, y'all. So you see more personality from Camille since she actually finally speak like almost a year ago. So it actually did fit with her, like, her character, especially being the strongest badass of a woman she is. And at the end, of course, Camille did defeated Thunder Rosa with not one but two spears, and she's now the number one contendership for the NWA Women's Championship. So I was like kind of a little bit bummed out that Thunder Rosa lost, but I can understand why, because Camille is strictly signed with NWA. Even though Serena Deeb is currently signed with AEW, it could go either way, like how the title is going to be. It's going to be changing hand. Is Serena's going to be retaining the title? When it's going to be taking place? I know that Serena is still recovering from her knee injury. Anything can happen. But I'm just going to say it, you guys. I feel that we're probably going to be seeing Camille on AEW. Probably the title match is probably going to be defended at Double or Nothing in May. I bet that Serena is going to be recovered by the time and then getting ready to go. But we'll see what's up, you guys. Anyway, then you have is the NWA National Championship match between the current champ Trevor Murdoch versus Chris Adonis, aka Chris Master of the Full Nelson. I just miss saying Miss Chris Master. I mean, when he used to be in WWE, but now he goes by Chris Adonis. But, you know, I'm going to dub him by his middle name. That's what they call him, for giving his nickname, the Master of the Full Nelson. And the match was pretty solid. I was very impressed with Chris Master's performance. Chris Master of the Full Nelson Adonis. And, of course, Trevor Murdoch, like, this is I think that was his first title defense since winning the national championship at Primetime Live. So, it was pretty much a solid match. And then, of course, once Trevor did escape from Chris Adonis's master lock, he actually rolled up and thus picked up the victory. And then afterwards, that's where Chris, Master of the Full Nelson Adonis, did attack Trevor Noah, and then he actually left. And then afterwards, you have, is of course that botched 10-bell salute, as I mentioned it before. And then the main event match for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship match between the current champ, Nick Aldis, versus Aaron Stevens. And then prior to the match, you have is Austin Idol was joining on commentary, and y'all, you saw the tension from Tim Storm, because remember, Austin Idol was on Nick Aldis's corner, where Nick Aldis did defeated Tim Storm to become the new NWA National Championship. Like, I think it was like a year and a half or 2 years ago. Oh my god. Like, Hicks's expression, I was like, dang, he is not having it. But I know Austin did actually give his reasoning that, like, even though he was by Nick Aldis's corner, but for now on this main event match, he's actually rooting for Aaron Stevens, which I was kind of like a complete 450 change of it. I know he did stated that during the interview with the lovely May Valentine, which I'm happy to see her back, and she's doing backstage interview now. So I think that this is going to be something that how it's going to be reflected on, especially for that too. And also shout out to Tommy Delmore from In the Click. He actually did tweet it out on about Austin Idol, who he is, his character and everything. So make sure to follow Tommy Delmore at Iron Fist 1982 on Twitter, y'all. Anyway, now the match itself for the main event match. I was very impressed with this main event match, especially this is a dedication to Joseph Hudson. I like Aaron Stevens' ring gear, especially if they complemented the color, the black and yellow. And especially he did a couple of moveset that is like in honor of Joseph Hudson. And you saw on the tape wrist, it has the question mark symbol as well. So the match was very incredible. I really enjoy how we saw the real Aaron Stevens taking on Nick Aldis, especially with a lot of like counter going on. Like he actually did deliver the clover leaf before breaking in the pin for 2 count, and then he actually did logs in a figure 4 lock before Nick Aldis did reverse it, the pressure, and that's where like the break happened. So you had a lot of like clothesline going on. You saw a lot of counter submission, and then you saw Aldis did the belly to belly suplex for the 2 count. It was a very incredible match, you guys. Like a lot of chemistry going on, and especially we saw like who is the real Aaron Stevens is without the gimmick, and he actually did an impressive job too. Unfortunately, guys, Nick did actually pin Aaron Stevens after counting a cross arm breaker with an inside cradle, and thus Nick Aldis did retain the NWA World Championship match. And it was pretty much a very fun match. I know some people are kind of like having some mixed opinions about it, that it should have been Aaron Stevens being the new champion. But, you know, it all based on who is supposed to be like a top star in NWA. With Aaron Stevens, even though he is one half of the NWA Tag Team Champion, he's getting there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he is like still continuing on being a mid-carder. He's almost there, being a top star in NWA, you guys. Because this is how we are being introduced to him as a true person, as he is, without the character, without the gimmick, no BS. That's him. And then afterwards, Nick Aldis told Aaron Stevens to stand up like a man. And once Aaron got up, Nick Aldis did complimented him, and he said that he is one hell of a fighter. And so they did shake hand and embrace, and that's where some of the NWA roster, including the widow of Joseph Hudson, which she's the one that was holding the Mongolian flag. So everybody else got in the ring, and then that's where you heard the crowd did saying, "Thank you, Joseph," clap, clap, clap for that. So everybody was in the ring. They did the Mongolian pose, and closing off where Aaron Stevens said, "This one's for you, Sensei," while holding the question marks mask. And thus, that concludes NWA Back for the Attack. The ending got me choked up a little bit because it was a very beautiful tribute to Joseph Hudson, especially, you know, the recent passing and how much everybody did care for him. So, yeah, you guys, it was a very beautiful pay-per-view. A great comeback for NWA itself, and especially how they actually brought in the lineage of it too. So for my final grade for NWA, I did enjoy the show itself, even though one of the matches, it should have been like the right winner for it. I'm not talking about the whole, like, you know, J.O. Kratos versus Tyrus, but, you know, the 4-way match, you guys. The botch of the 10-bell salute kind of affected a little bit, but nothing too major. And I think this is a very beautiful pay-per-view, a good comeback for NWA. I'm giving it a generous A-. I really enjoy NWA Back for the Attack a lot. I'm really looking forward to like the future NWA pay-per-view. But for now, you guys, let's go ahead and kick off the inaugural recap / results for NWA Powerrr for March 23rd, 2021. Your commentator, which y'all, I have not a lot to say. I'm sorry. I know I'm going to get hate for it. I don't know what Baby Huey and John LaRocca say. I don't know if Philip and Brandon did talk about NWA briefly. I don't know. But your commentator permanently, still, Joe Galley and Tim Storm. Velvet Sky is on commentary. I did try the benefit of the doubt to give her a chance to be on to listen to her on commentary throughout the whole show. I'm sorry. I could not barely hear what she had to say, let alone the fact that, like, I just feel that her commentary style did not sink in. Especially the fact that I know that she's trying to be, like, a shallow color commentator. It doesn't even fit the style as well. I did listen to her being a commentator in like past Impact Wrestling shows, like when she was a guest commentator. She did a good job. I don't know what the hell just happened though. I feel that it seems to be a little bit monotone. I feel like it has like a little bit of a lack of personality. But if you're trying to be kind of like a chill commentator, just add in a little bit of like personality to it as well. Like, for instance, like if you wanted like a chill laid-back commentator, Ricky Stark is a perfect example of a good color commentator. He did some commentary on AEW Dark, of course, or like Veda Scott. She did brought in some personality also, and she did a fantastic job when she did commentary for the AEW Women's Tag Team Tournament. But you know, that's just how I felt. I felt it's kind of like it doesn't even bring in the personality. I feel it's not loud enough too. But if you want to show like a different like gimmick or like different style too, just add a little bit of personality or some sass too, you know. But just me and my personal opinion. I know it's gonna suck that we're gonna be hearing her commentary style in the long run, but it is what it is, you guys. Anyway, guys, so we're going to be kicking things off with, is Kyle Davis interviewing Strictly Business, Nick Aldis, Tom Lattimore, and Camille. Each of them did talk about, like, how they're going to be beating their competition. Like, Tom Lattimore talking about the downfall from the NWA television title happening at Back for the Attack against the Pope. He demanded a rematch, and then camera turns to Camille. She stated that, like, she is proud that she is the number one contendership, and she did call out Serena Deebs and how much she is a badass of a person is. And then Nick Aldis did actually talked about that he is back. NWA is back and stronger than ever, and especially he did call out Trevor Murdoch. And they're excited about the main event match, of course, the 6-man tag team match itself. And so kicking off with the match itself, is Camille defeated the Pink Dream, Alex Gracia, in a kind of like a less than a 4-minute match. It was pretty much a fun match. Y'all remember Alex Gracia from AEW Dark? Poor Alex, though. I mean, not only she lost on NWA Powerrr, but she also lost on AEW Dark against former NWA star Ashley Vox, of course. But it was it's pretty much a very fun match. But Camille, she'd been dominating so much, especially that brutal torture rack towards Alex. And then she did not one, but 2 spears to freaking pin Alex Gracia. But it was pretty much a solid match. And then it got cut to, of course, Austin Idol did introduce Yrus as a new client before the whole, number one contendership match for the NWA Television Championship. And so, not much to say, but it'll be great seeing Austin Idol, being the mouthpiece, even though it's Yrus. What else to say? But whatever. Yep. And then it's the NWA Television Championship match, number one contendership. So the winner gets to face, of course, the Pope itself. So is Marche Rocket, which you remember him from Impact Wrestling, versus Matt Cross versus, of course, Fred Roster. That's right. Fred Roster from New Japan Strong, formerly known as WWE Superstar. Darren Young. Like I said, the forbidden door is still open. So, partnership with Ring of Honor, partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling, US of A, you guys. And it was pretty much a very fun match. I really enjoy Matt Cross's high-flying action. I mean, he is still looking good. I've been a fan of Matt Cross, since forever, you guys. Cool dude, though. And I think this is kind of the first time I've seen Marche Rocket in action. Even though I stopped watching Impact Wrestling kind of in the mid-2010s because, it went downhill and all that. But he did a very impressive job. And he is fine as hell, by the way, if I digress. But his strike and his in-ring agility towards Fred Roster, it sets the whole motion. And then of course Fred Roster, Mr. No Days Off, he did a fantastic job. And of course at the end he actually did the gut check and pin Marche Rocket to pick up the victory. And he's now the number one contendership match for the television title against the Pope itself. So it is going to be a very fun match. I'm looking forward to it all together. And then is a showcase match between Mike Parro. That's right. Mike Parro defeated Jordan Clearwater in a pretty much a very fun match. But I do want to give props to Jordan Clearwater for trying his best to put up in a fight against one of those ruthless heel. Mike Parro. But it was pretty much a solid match altogether. And then you got cut to the interview between the lovely May Valentine, where she interviewed Slice Boogie. Y'all, if you ask me who I don't like, Slice Boogie or MJF, it's equally both. Let's just say that. Anyway, so Slice Boogie did talk about, how much he showed those four guys who is the real deal or whatever that is. And then he's trying to hit on May Valentine, which I'm glad May did shut him down. It was pretty much a funny moment. And then is the interview from Kyle Davis did brought out Thunder Rosa. And I'm glad Kyle Davis did congratulating her about that impressive main event match against Britt Baker at AEW Dynamite. The unsanctioned lights out match. I'm glad they actually mentioned it, of course. And so Thunder Rosa did talk about a little bit of the main event match, but then she said she wanted to challenge the NWA Women's Championship match so much that, unfortunately, she did lose to Camille during the number one contendership match back on the pay-per-view this past Sunday, and how much she wanted the belt again. And then, out of nowhere, out comes Melina, of course. So Melina did tell Thunder Rosa that she wanted to bury the hatchet ever since what happened between her and Thunder Rosa, especially there has been a tension going on. And she actually begged for forgiveness, which is oh my god. And so Melina did offer her to be a manager or a valet or anything she wanted. But I'm glad that Thunder Rosa did decline and say that she wanted to do this by herself. And so Melina didn't take this rejection lightly for it. But I'm glad that Thunder Rosa is actually held to her own ground and thus like saying that like she wanted to continue pursuing her goal too. I wonder what's going to be happening with Molina, because now that Marty Bell is no longer with NWA, and so are we going to be getting, is she's going to be back as a single competitor? Is she's going to be forming another like stable? Is she's going to have a tag team partner? So many endless possibility going on, but who knows? And then lastly, you have the main event match, which is a 6-man tag team match between the team of JR Kratos, Aaron Stevens, and the Pope versus Strictly Business and Chris, Master of the Full Nelson Adonis. And it was pretty much a solid main event match. However, there has been tension going on between Aaron Stevens and JR Kratos, because Kratos is back as a heel, y'all. And I know he is trying to push Aaron Stevens to beat him, to trying to beat the opponents, but Aaron Stevens is trying to think, doing the right thing. The Pope, however, the Pope is still got it. I enjoy his counter against like Tom Lattimore. It was freaking incredible. I really like Nick and Tom's Devil Team's signature move, which is the suplex towards Aaron Stevens. That was pretty amazing. And of course, unfortunately, JR Kratos grabbed the chair and he was about to hit Tom, but then Aaron did grab the chair and then throw it back outside of the ring, and there has been a rift going on. And then, of course, with the advantage, Chris, Master of the Full Adonis, I think is him or Tom Latimer, did roll up, and thus the team of Strictly Business and Chris Adonis did pick up the victory, you guys. So the main event match was really solid. I enjoy it. And now you can see like the storyline has been developed between both Kratos and Aaron Stevens, which I think that's going to be what's happening, since Aaron Stevens just turned face for the right reason. And the fact that like they're both still the current NWA World Tag Team Champions. So I guess that they're gonna be figuring out who's gonna be the opponent for the upcoming title match, and I feel like this is gonna be it, that they're gonna be dropping the title itself, because like they're gonna be setting up a rivalry between Kratos and Aaron Stevens. And as I mentioned it, the Forbidden Door continue on. We're probably gonna be seeing one of the members of Team Filthy, since JR Kratos is part of Team Filthy in New Japan Strong. Anything can go, you guys, but yeah. All in all, the episode of NWA Powerrr, I enjoy it. However, like I said, the only faulty thing is the commentary from Velvet Sky. I did not enjoy her commentary star, with all due respect, but I'm glad the Pope did commentary during the triple threat number one contendership match. He actually did save in. I do enjoy the promo from Thunder Rosa and Melina. I do enjoy a lot of the Mike Perro versus Jordan Clearwater, of course, and the main event match really solid too. So for that, I'm gonna give it a generous B+ on the show. I enjoyed it a lot. I cannot wait to see what's gonna be developing next week, but we'll see, y'all. Anyway, you guys, now to the recap for Impact Wrestling, same day, March 23rd, 2021. So for the before the Impact pre-show, you have is Tasha Steelz defeated Alicia Edwards with the drop. The match itself was, pretty much alright. I would say is Alicia did do a different type of angle of a flatliner. She did a low flatliner. She did a top rope flatliner. A regular flatliner, like, interesting though. Like, I feel like she only has like 4 different signature moveset in the repertoire. I just feel like it should be a little bit more to it too. Tasha Steelz, I mean, she is very incredible. I do love her attitude. I'm glad that Kiera Hogan was on ringside, even though she did provide a little bit of a distraction towards Alicia when she grabbed her ankle, and that's where Tasha took the advantage, like, did a couple more, like, couple more beatdown, and then she did a suplex on the top rope before she did the drop to leash, and that's where she did pick up the victory too. So pretty much a solid opening of the pre-show, and now we're gonna go to the main card itself. So you have there's no intro theme song from Impact Wrestling. It's just cut to Kenny Omega and Don Callis entering the building. And then the promos, and that's it. No opening intros, and that's it. They just did that, and then straight to the match. Which the match itself, is Deonna Purrazzo defeated Jazz with a roll-up. All thanks to Karen. Susan hit Jazz with her own shoes, and that's where after Susan did actually attack Jordynne Grace. By dodging her and all that, but who knows? I just feel like this whole rivalry going on between Jazz, Jordynne, and Deonna Purrazzo and her lackey was still getting a little bit overturned, but I can understand why, because there's barely no knockouts. That's gonna be the one that's gonna be challenging Deonna Purrazzo. Is gonna be the same person, by rotation too. And also, D'Lo Brown did mention during the match that Kimberly is out with an injury because she sustained during the 12 knockout scramble tag team match, but she is going to be making a recovery for us. It's nothing too major or anything like that. But all in all, it was pretty much an impressive match. I do enjoy it. Both ladies did strike each other, even though there has been a little bit of an interference going on from Susan, but it is what it is. I do enjoy it. Anyway, you guys, now we're going to be going to backstage. Good Brothers are telling a story before they've been interrupted by Eddie Edwards, who tells them to leave before they go to hang out with Kenny and Don in the RV. And right when the Good Brothers was walking off, they encounter the Decay, where Rosemary did say something really creepy, but then mocking them about not being the Impact World Tag Team Champion, of course. And so they were creeped out and left. So yeah, and then you have this cringy Swingers Palace commercial, which I do not care less. It's funny that they put Johnny Swinger as age 26. I had to look up on Wikipedia how old he is. He's actually 45 years old, you guys. And by the way, his picture on Wikipedia, he looks attractive, but that's just me. Anyway, and then you have is the X Division Championship match, which Ace Austin did. Ace Austin versus TJP. So it was pretty much a solid X Division match. You have a lot of counter going on. You have TJP did the front suplex. You have Ace Austin did the half crab before TJP did locks in the abdominal stretch. So a lot of back and forth going on. And then TJP almost had it where he did the detonation kick. And then he did the Mamba Splash until, of course, before he hit the 3 count, Madman Fulton broke the pin and he attacked TJP, and thus the match ends in a DQ, which unfortunately Ace Austin did retain his X Division Championship due to the champion advantage, of course. Which, the rivalry is still continuing on, especially Madman Fulton still continuing to attack TJP, and Ace Austin did join in until Josh Alexander brought out with the chair to make the save, of course, as Ace and Fulton did runs off, of course. So the whole situation going on with the X Division is still continuing on, especially with Josh Alexander itself. But yeah, and then you have a sit-down interview where Gia Miller did interview Matt Cardona, who talks about his time since joining Impact Wrestling and his social media marketing, as well as his relationship with Brian Myers, which he actually did call him out a lot. So still the whole feud between Matt Cardona and Brian Myers still continuing on. I'm glad that he did mention about how he is helping how social media did change, like, his outlook, especially, like, being the internet champion, and especially working with his podcast, and especially, like, the moniker of always ready. But we'll see what's going on, you guys. And then you have is Trey Miguel, frustrated and angry, and then he countered Triple XL, which he was about to attack him until Tommy Dreamer broke off. And of course, Tommy Dreamer did actually make fun of AEW. Like the whole, like, the exploding barbed wire deathmatch dud aftermath, you guys. And because he said, like, Dreamer said, like, he announced a match at Hardcore Justice and saying this match is going to be the exploding barbed wire death match. So yeah, he did take a jab at AEW of that, that crapola ending from AEW Revolution like a month ago. Well, not a month ago, weeks ago. I'm sorry, y'all. I know the month is almost over. But yeah, so Triple XL walked off, and then Trey's like he wanted to get his hands on AC Romero, but Tommy told him not to get him his head and everything, because like how Trey is like still focusing about what happened with the whole situation with Sami Callihan, and yeah. Anyway, next up, so Rohit Raju defeated Fala, of course. It's like your typical squash match, even though like prior to the match, like Rohit Raju did counter Fala as he actually kind of like took a jab at him, saying that he has a gambling problem, and he did watch the whole Swingers Palace situation. And so, like, there has been a lot of back and forth between Fala and Rohit Raju. So it's pretty much your typical, like, standard match. I mean, you have, like, Fala drops him repeatedly and hits a twisting side slam. And then you have Rohit hit a diving stop for a near fall before rocking Fala with the jumpy knee. And then, of course, they actually did counter each other, which freaking that had, like, Rohit Raju bouncing out a little bit. But, of course, Rohit did pin Fala with the rights for the win. But, yeah, it was pretty much an interesting match. And now, afterwards, you have is the AEW Dynamite commercial, where you have is the two Tonys are at the Skyway Studio with Kenny and Don Callis, of course. And as well as Tony Khan did promote heavily about Kenny Omega's match against Matt Sydal, which, funny enough, Matt Sydal used to be in Impact Wrestling, of course, and WWE, as I've been born but digress. So they've been hyping up the match a lot, and also like the other matches for the upcoming episode AEW Dynamite. So yeah, and then afterwards you have is Kenny Omega coming out to his original AEW theme song, not like this whole like, remix version, whatever. So Kenny Omega came out, and then he did cut a promo regarding about like Rich Swann, and also I know they did cut about like he said that he is bigger than Ibushi, and also like they did show like highlights of like the different angles of the One Wing Angel. It was pretty much a very solid promo from Kenny Omega, and how much Don Callis actually did mock Rich before saying he's prepared to do anything it takes to cement Kenny's legacy, of course. And then the whole compliment from Kenny Omega to, it's like, that Kenny Omega being like the belt collector, showing his attitude that he trying to remix it, like from the old Kenny Omega to now the champion Kenny Omega, how he is too. And so he is pumped for what's going to be happening, like, when Rebellion comes around, too. And so, Kenny did state it that being in a match in the Impact was the greatest moment in history of Impact Wrestling, but it's just another Tuesday to him, and that he's going to have 2 more belts after Rebellion. So, ciao. I'm very excited for this altogether. However, because like he only focused on is just, the upcoming match of Rebellion, no mention to it on AEW Dynamite, but we'll talk about it in a bit, like when we go to the AEW Dynamite bonus. But yeah. Anyway, and then you have the video package from Violent by Design, as Eric Young did explain about like the whole why Rhino joined Violent by Design, and I think it's kind of like a pretty interesting like storytelling, especially like their home base is a prison. Pretty interesting. So Rhino has been baptized by EY's evilness and mind game about like his reasoning to join in and all this crap, but yeah. And then you have is the backstage interview where Gia Miller did interview Havoc and Nevaeh, where they both did reconcile after like they were part of the Team Babyface during the 12 Knockouts tag team match. And so they're happy about it until they got interrupted by Fire and Flava before challenging them to a non-title match, which having Nevaeh say they're ready to continue on to pursue the Knockouts tag team title. So yeah, and then after they Fire and Flava left, out comes Tenille, Dashwood, and Caleb with a K. And, Tenille still offering to be her tag team partner to Nevaeh. And, of course, Havoc did tell her to leave and all that. But, yeah. Anyway, next up you have the match, which Trey Miguel defeated AC Romero in a very impressive match. I was very blown away because, like, Trey Miguel, I'm very, very impressed with his counter, especially to AC Romero, especially like it's based on like size and statures, of course, but no judge because it was a very incredible match too. So you have is like Trey did the scorpion kick into the diving neckbreaker, and then he hit AC with a rollwood kick for a 2 count before AC knocked Trey out in the air when he goes for a springboard before Trey came back with the rebound counter. And of course, Trey Miguel did the Meteora and thus pick up the victory. So it was pretty much a fun match. However, afterwards, Larry D attacked Trey Miguel, and then that's where AC Romero did join in. And then all of a sudden, the ICU glitch came. And then there's Sami Callihan with the baseball bat making his save, and then disappear afterwards. And so it's Triple XL, so leaving Trey Miguel in the ring. So that is like something that is more doable for Trey, that like his attitude is changed, especially like what's going on with the situation with Sami Callihan. Is he being played? He's having a lot of confusion and everything all together. But we'll see how it gonna turns out with this whole feud. And then you have is backstage interview with Impact champion Rich Swann, who say that he isn't going to let mind games by Don and Kenny get to him, and how much he is really looking forward to having a match and to party. That's how he do, and I enjoyed his interview a lot. And then you have is an interview from Beer Guns, which James Storm did talk about. He's going to have his 1000th match soon before he cut a promo on Violent by Design. And James Storm said he wants Eric Young in a one-on-one match before Scott D'Amore just showed up and make a match between the two. So next week, the main event match has been declared for James Storm's 1000th match, and is against Eric Young. I'm here for you guys, so I'm excited. And then for your main event match, you have is Carla Anderson with Doc Gallows versus Eddie Edwards. So it's pretty much your standard main event match. I mean, you have Eddie Edwards with the impressive overhead belly-to-belly suplex, and then he did a suicide dive towards Carl and Doc Gallows. That was really impressive. What's so funny is that, like, you saw Doc Gallows just providing influence until Brian Hebner did call him out, and then he took out a chair, and then he told Doc to sit down. I was like, oh my god, what is this? A grade school? Like, seriously? All in all, it was a really impressive match. Carl normally do, like, couple clothesline and headlock, and then Eddie Edwards, of course, did deliver the Blue Thunder Bomb for a near fall, and of course, at the end, Doc Aldis did provide the distraction by hitting Eddie with the chair, and thus Carl did hit Eddie with the spine buster, and thus pick up the victory, Pretty much a very fun match, and then afterwards, you got a Titantron appearing from Finjuice, live from New Japan Pro Wrestling, as they mock the Good Brothers, saying that they still have the Impact World Tag Team Champion, how they're having a great time in Japan with those titles, and then this whole mockery, and then thus that ends Impact Wrestling, which it's kind of like a bit confusing to say at least. I think the whole mocking situation feels a bit unnecessary, but I know they're trying their best to glow, because I know Finjuice actually came out with the Impact World title like a week after Impact Wrestling aired during the New Japan Cup show. Like, holy crap, you guys. So I'm glad they did acknowledge the title during New Japan Pro Wrestling, the New Japan Cup situation, and just to bring in more notoriety too. So all in all, the show itself was pretty, solid. I enjoyed Kenny and Don's promo live. So it's Rich Swan's response to it too. I do enjoy AC Romero versus Trey Miguel's match. It was pretty much a very incredible match. The X Division title match was really solid too, even though it ends in a DQ. But at least Ace Austin's still the champion, and that's all that matters too. The Knockouts match was pretty decent, and yeah. So all in all, I'm gonna give Impact Wrestling just a B+. The promo from Kenny and Don and Rich Swann saved it, and I also enjoy Eric Young's backstory of why Rhino is part of Violent by Design. Anyway, you guys, with that being said, now we're going to go to the AEW bonus, and the only match I'll be covering it because it's part of the whole cross promotion. It's the 6-man tag team match between the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler versus the Lucha Bros, and making his return, Laredo Kid, who is currently signed with AAA Wrestling. And all in all, I enjoy this match a lot of high flying action, a lot of strikes, a lot of counters going on. Brandon Cutler, though, did impress the hell out of me. He did dives over the top rope and hit Laredo Kid and Pentagon Cero Miedo, of course. And then Young Bucks and Cutler did control the action by keeping Laredo Kid in the corner. Matt and Nick exchanged tag multiple times, and each time they deliver multiple punches and kicks to Laredo Kid's back. And of course, Brandon Cutler and Laredo Kid's facing off. They exchanged multiple strikes, of course. It was all in all very impressive. And of course, at the end, you guys, Laredo Kid hit the Spanish Fly on Brandon Cutler, and thus the team of Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid did pick up the victory. And afterwards, Kenny Omega attacks Laredo Kid right away as the Lucha Bros still outside of the ring. Yeah. And then Kenny Omega did confront it until Matt Jackson did try to stop him, and so is Nick. And then, of course, Omega did cut a promo, say 3 years ago, we had a chance, we choose to stick together. I could have stayed in New Japan. I do not go to greener pasture in New York. No, I choose AEW, all because of he chooses the Young Bucks. And he said that he wanted to reach a team, and they choose it. But instead of choosing him, they choose Brandon Cutler, of all people, of course. So, and then Kenny begs them to do a too sweet one more time, just to throw it up, just to rehash the too sweet hand gesture. But Matt and Nick was very reluctant that, I was waiting for them to super kick, and I was like, super kick him. Nope, they walked away, and I was like, what the hell? That wouldn't make it perfect, but no. But at least the Lucha Bro did super kick Kenny Omega. And then that's where That's where the Lucha Bros did their signature finisher and then left as the Good Brothers came out to help Kenny Omega carry backstage as well. So the whole storyline is still continuing on AEW Dynamite side about the whole Young Bucks situation with Kenny Omega, Don Callis, and the Good Brothers. I just feel that they're actually kind of like shifting into like the whole different storyline together where like Kenny appearance on Impact Wrestling is just focusing on is the title for title match against Rich Swann, or he has to deal with his own conflict in AEW with the Bucks. I just feel they should figure out what they gotta do, like if they want to continue on with this whole partnership thing, having it combining it together as one's like what's happening at Rebellion, having the Young Bucks making a surprise appearance, or maybe like in one of the past episodes of Impact Wrestling, or have Rich Swann make the appearance. Maybe have a tag match with the Young Bucks against Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers for the billet for Dynamite a week before Impact Wrestling Rebellion. Anything can go, you guys, but I just hope they better continue on for it because I feel like kind of like a little bit flat. And this week's episode of AEW Dynamite was like not that impressive, but decent to say at least. But that's just me. Anyway, that is it for the AEW bonus. Now, Leslie, we're going to go into the New Japan Cup US of A 2021 bracketology. So the whole bracketology has been formed. They just concluded the whole like qualifying match. So here it is. Here are the guys that are going to be competing for the New Japan Cup United States. And the winner gets to face the current IWGP United States champion, Jon Moxley. So you have his Ren Narita, Tom Lawler, Hikuleo, Fred Roster, Chris Dickinson, Brody King, Leo Rush, and Clark Connors. So I'm going to start with the bracketology. Ren Narita versus Tom Lawler. I'm going with Tom Lawler. Fred Roster versus Hikuleo. I'm going with Fred Roster on this. Then you have Clark Connors versus Leo Rush. I'm going with Leo Rush. Chris Dickinson versus Brody King. I'm going with Chris Dickinson on it. Now for the semifinal, Tom Lawler versus Fred Roster. I'm going with Tom Lawler on this. And Leo Rush versus Chris Dickinson. I'm going with Leo Rush. So for the final two, you have is Leo Rush versus Tom Lawler. This is going to be the hardest one to choose because you have Tom Lawler, who is very notable in the independent wrestling scene, and he used to be a former UFC fighter. And then Leo Rush, of course, who is the former WWE superstar and former Ring of Honor star as well. Anything can go in either way, but for my pick, I honestly feel that this one of the person may be going to be appearing on AEW Dynamite, though. Who knows? AEW Dynamite, kind of like teasing this whole like Forbidden Door situation. I'm going to have to go with Tom Lawler to win the New Japan Cup United States. Because I feel that for him winning, it's going to bring in more credibility. Especially him becoming like the challenger too. And especially the stable, Team Filthy, has actually been forming one. And especially spreading all over different promotion like JR Kratos with NWA and Daddy Limelight with AEW, of course, and Primetime and United Wrestling Network too. I think that's going to be more beneficial for Tom Lawler to win the tournament itself and then facing Jon Moxley. I think that will make perfect sense. So that's what I'm going to pick. My finalist pick is Tom Lawler. All right, you guys. New Japan Cup United States tournament will be taking place 2 weeks from now as of Friday, March 26th. With that being said, that is it for the episode of Into the Stratusphere, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Or on YouTube, you're listening to it. And everything, you guys. So Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at simply_C_OK. That's SIMPLY_C_OK. And follow me on TikTok at simply_C_OK. The OK is OKAY. Make sure to follow the Bulletcast on all social media platform, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at the Bulletcast. And then make sure to follow the Bulletcast on all podcasting platforms at the Bulletcast, including Patreon, y'all. With that being said, please remember to wash your hands 20 to 30 seconds. Practice social distancing. Wear your face mask or face covering at all time. No excuses. Even though restriction has been taken at ease, but we're still in the middle of a pandemic, you guys. Just saying. And remember to please be kind to one another. We're all in this together. Till then, you guys, I'll see you in the next episode of Into the Stratusphere. Cheers, y'all.
This has been the Bulletcast. Thank you for listening.